One of the things that I love about this movie is you guys have a history that's, about 92 years old between your two characters, if we're going like 31 Dracula. Mm-hmm. How is it kind of like building that rapport of these guys that know each other so incredibly well?
It's fun because they really know how to push each other's buttons and affect each other, but they've almost become entwined as one by this point. You know, it really is this codependent relationship where it's not just an abusive narcissistic boss. It's also, Renfield can hurt Dracula by his actions as well. So there's just a lot of detail and nuance to pick up within each scene, I think.
Sort of a telepathic element, like sort of picking up each sentences where the other one leaves off and knowing where each one is going to go and riffing off of that, like a dance.
And speaking of that dance, you both have your own forms of energy. I feel like Renfield's constantly he's like what Dwight Frye was like in 31. He's constant nervous energy.
Oh, amazing. Thank you.
And, you of course channel Bella, but you get to run the whole gamut with this thing, really, Nick.
Yeah, Bela Lugosi, I never met the man, but Bela Lugosi's performance obviously launched 1 billion viewers, and he was incredible. But for me, he wasn't my Dracula. My Dracula was Christopher Lee in the Hammer films. And but the idea is to sort of cherry pick what's been done well in the past and then extrude out from there and hopefully find your own voice and bring something new to the character.
Nick, who's your favorite? Other Nick aside, who's your favorite movie vampire? If he's Christopher Lee, are you like Barnabas Collins or is it Bela Lugosi?
Bella's probably my favorite. But also, I was watching Shadow of the Vampire the other day, and what Willem Dafoe does in that is brilliant. I know it's not technically Dracula, but so that's one of my faves.
Now, when you're doing something like horror comedy, how is it kind of like calibrating where you're going to take the energy? Because, there's a lot of menace you bring, but at the same time, there's a lot of punchlines.
Well, we had a great director in Chris McKay who was really watching the tone, and we were fitting in with that tone. But more importantly, I was really taking my cues from Nick and his performance. He's the lead. It's Renfield. He's setting the pace. So right off the get-go, I was rehearsing with him any time I could find and just figure out what flavor he was bringing and then hopefully support that. And that was always on my mind.
Yeah. How was it bringing kind of a more action hero element to certain scenes?
The action hero element is interesting because for Renfield, it was one of those things where obviously he has these abilities when he eats a bug in this story. But also I don't think he's someone who enjoys violence. So it was kind of putting him in these scenarios where it was a means to an end and had to be decided upon. But at the same time, was still afraid. I don't know, I tried to bring little things, and Chris Brewster, the stunt choreographer, was incredible for this, but things like when Nora's character's shooting the gun inside the restaurant, of hiding behind the silver platter serving tray, or things like that, where I'm kind of okay, he's not Jason Bourne, he's still someone who's concerned and worried in these scenarios.
Right on, yeah. Nick, vampires are something in the family business with your uncle. How is it kind of and I know you had done Vampire's Kiss, and I love Vampire's Kiss.
Sure.
How is it kind of exploring those colors more and adding to the vampire genre with this?
Oh, it was terrific. First of all, I love Uncle's movie. Gary's performance was magnificent. And I did ask Francis, well, what should I do I'm doing Dracula? So just make sure you find the character is handsome. And I said, well, I kind of look like a Picasso painting in this movie. I'm not sure if it's handsome because it doesn't matter. But I quickly thought about my father, and which is obviously my uncle's brother, and I thought, well, he was always the smartest man in the room. He always spoke with this elegant and eloquent voice, and had this sort of intimidating aura about him, and I thought he was the perfect person to bring back. August Coppola is coming back, and he's coming back as Dracula.